Our next story is about a global giant, a giant that only seems to care about the West. I'm talking about Nestle, the biggest consumer goods company in the world. And what have they done? Possibly risked the health of babies in the global South. Let me explain. A big chunk of Nestle's business is baby food, like infant cereals and formula or baby milk powder. Now in the West, these products follow global guidelines. No added sugar, no honey, no sucrose. Basically nothing sweet. But in the global South, that is not the case. A Swiss organization tested Nestle products sold in the global South, mostly in Asia, Africa and Latin America. And what did they find? Most of them had added sugar. We are talking about products for babies and toddlers under 3 years of age. In Africa, a flavored cereal had 6 grams of added sugar. The same product in Switzerland had none. Another cereal sold in India had 2.7 grams of sugar. In Brazil, 6 out of 8 Nestle products had sugar. How much? 4 grams per serving. In Nigeria, one product had 6.8 grams of added sugar. Now, I know you have questions, and we will try to answer the 2 basic ones first. First of all, why is added sugar bad? And question number 2, why is Nestle doing it? It's bad because sugar leads to multiple health issues like childhood obesity, cardiovascular disease, and tooth decay. And no, it is not a rich man's problem. Obesity is rising in low and middle income countries. Africa makes up 24% of the world's overweight children. Africa. So added sugar is not good for kids anywhere in the world. Most Western governments have guidelines for this. They say do not add extra sugar to baby food. But many countries in the global South do not, like India and Bangladesh. Which brings us to the second question. Why is Nestle doing it? Because it keeps the children hooked. More sugar equals more taste equals more consumption, and more consumption equals more sales. But look at the double standard here. In the West, Nestle is happy to obey the rules, even if it means less sales. But in the global South, they're using a loophole. Nestle knows that added sugar is a problem, but they also know that there are no strict rules, so technically it's not illegal. But why this different attitude? If Nestle can remove sugar in the West, why not elsewhere? Well, the company says it follows local regulations. It says recipes depend on multiple factors like local rules and availability of ingredients. So nothing unlawful is happening, but I'm afraid it won't cut it. We're not talking about some reeling startup here. This is Nestle. They own more than 2,000 brands in 180 countries. Their global sales is more than $100 billion. If Nestle can't do it, who can? So governments need to take note. You can't depend on foreign organizations to call out such products. You must strengthen your own regulators. Carry out periodic tests, increase awareness, and enforce global health guidelines, because one thing is clear. You cannot trust multinationals to protect us. Just look at the health sector. You would think that at least medicines would be safe. Well, think again. Around 10% of all medical products in low and middle income countries are substandard. A United Nations report blamed such drugs for 500,000 deaths in sub-Saharan Africa. Let that sink in. 500,000, 5 lakh deaths per year due to substandard drugs. Consumer products have the same problem, like soft drinks. In 2007, Pepsi and Coca-Cola found themselves in trouble. An Indian study found that both drinks had high traces of pesticide. It was 30 times what was found in the US and European markets. So many Indian states actually banned these sodas. Another case was Nestle's Maggi noodles. Indian labs found it had high traces of lead, much more than the permissible amount. It actually led to a nationwide ban of the product in 2015. Recently, we've seen substandard syrups. The latest is in Africa. Regulators in 6 countries have recalled a batch of Johnson & Johnson syrup. Labs found it had high levels of toxicity. Have you wondered why these cases only happen in the global South? Yes, weak regulation is a problem, but so is attitude. Multinationals are willing to gamble on lives in the global South. They think they can get away with it. Not every country can splurge millions on inspections and regulations. But those countries also deserve safe products. The US Food and Drug Regulator has a massive budget, more than $7 billion. But how many countries can afford that? Maybe a handful. So it's important for global bodies to step up, to hold big companies accountable. If not, the likes of Nestle will never course correct.